friends, welcome back to Accounted Cross Stitch. I'm Nikki and this is my fourth Flosstube. It's been 2 weeks since I last filmed and I've just been jumping all over the place working on all of my projects. Well, not all of them, but I worked on a ton of WIPS this week, so I have lots to show you. I wanted to start with a quick thank you. We hit 300 followers since the last episode and I just really appreciate that. I think I mentioned I started cross stitching about 2 years ago when I had newly moved to the DC area and I really only knew my partner. So I found myself having a lot of free time and decided to pick up a new hobby. And it's been a really great way to build community. I ended up starting a knitting and stitching group in my neighborhood, and I just really appreciate this community. So thank you for following, thank you for being here and interacting with me here and on Instagram. I appreciate each and every one of you, and you know, whether we're a parasocial internet friendship or we get to meet at a retreat and become real life friends, I just wanted to say thank you. So let's look at some WIPs. I don't have any starts or finishes over the last 2 weeks, but I worked on a lot of projects. So first off is, again, Extraordinary Birds. I am up to date. I was planning to film today, so I rushed last night to finish the last little bit of this week's clue so I would be able to show you a caught up project. So 2 clues have come out since I last filmed and they both included multiple little birdies. So the aviary is getting very full. This week we added like some prehistoric birds, borderline dinosaurs. So that was a fun surprise. And yeah, I love how like lush it looks, all the colors, and I'm excited to see what's next. I know there's like a few little gaps. Like, sorry, I should have pinned this to a board or something so I could point to things, but there's like a gap there and here where I'm expecting to see more birds. So we've got another piece of the pattern coming out on Friday and I am looking forward to spending the weekend working on that. I might have another cat making an appearance at my feet here in a minute. You guys have only met Fiero. You might get to meet Shinigami, we'll see. The next project I worked on this week, I only worked on this for 1 day. Once I get caught up on Extraordinary Birds, I tend to kind of jump around and work on something for an evening. And this is Cerberus by Need-A-Lot Designs. So it's if Cerberus, the 3-headed dog that guards the underworld, if he was a cat. So I haven't gotten too far, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the shading and I'm looking forward to having this like just awesome 3-headed cat on my walls. I think it will go very well with the theme of who I am as a person. So that one's fun. Next up, I only worked on this one a tiny bit. This is Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. And I pulled this one out to work on it for a reason. This is my only project on 36 count, which is the highest count I've worked on to date. And so I just worked on the snail a little bit and some of that fill in on the bottom this week, but the reason I pulled it out was because I have a fun new stitching accessory. My parents came up to visit this weekend and they came up to celebrate my birthday, which is actually in a couple weeks, but they're gonna be busy. So we celebrated early and they got me this light. It's like a big floor stand light and it's like a great LED light and it has a magnifying glass, which I have covered right now. You wanna keep a magnifying glass covered when you're not using it, because if the direct sunlight hits it, it will burn down your house. So I keep a drawstring knitting project bag on it when I'm not using it. And the kitty wandered away, so we might not get to meet Shinigami today, but another time. But yeah, so this is my new stitching accessory, and I wanted to try it out working on my 36 count project and see how that looked with the magnifying glass and with the new light. And I'm excited to have that for evening stitching. I do almost all of my stitching in the evening, and I live in an apartment that doesn't have overhead light. I know there are mixed feelings about overhead lights, but I like overhead lights. I think maybe probably a lot of crafters like overhead lights. Just, I want my space to be as well lit as possible, and I feel frustrated with the lack of lighting in my like evil corporate apartment complex. So I'm excited to have my new light, and it's got the like flexible head so I can point it where I need it. And now that I have the magnifier, maybe I'll be brave and try something on 40 count soon. We'll see. But I pulled out my autumn cloche specifically so I could try the higher count with the light. Next up is Debut. This is one of the Taylor Swift mini album covers by Nat X Stitches. I got a ton of progress on this. This is the project that I've been bringing with me to my stitchy group. So we've had 2 meetings since I last met with you guys. So I got about 4 hours of work on this, and it was very appropriately themed to be working on a Taylor Swift project this week. If you're a Swiftie, you know the exciting news. She just announced a new album, so I will have another mini album cover to work on after this. So that's exciting. I've got my wall of Taylor Swift covers behind me, and I think this one's starting to look really good. It's starting to be recognizable as Debut. One of the girls in my group even noticed and was like, "Are you working on a Taylor Swift album cover?" So yay, I'm probably more than halfway done with this one. This is just a quick little, it's a 42 by 42 full coverage square. So quick, easy little project. And I expect to get this done within like the next month or 2, especially now that I have a new album to work on. When I'm done with it, I gotta get it done. So that's, it's a good week for Swifties. Next up, I got just a little bit, this is again, I only worked on this for 1 night, on Great White Christmas by Boomerang Stitches. So I worked on the top of the shark a little bit. He looks lopsided now, but he's not going to be lopsided. That's just where I ran out of thread. I'm loving it. I'm loving the floss that I used, which I've gotten so many compliments on my variegated floss. Thank you all for your kind words on Instagram. The floss is Poinsettia by Forbidden Fiber. And I actually, when I was starting this, I ordered 3 different skeins of red floss from them to do my floss toss and decide, and landed on this one. And I love how it's both Christmassy and like Scary Bloody Shark at the same time. I love it, and I am planning to finish this one next up after Extraordinary Birds and have it up for the holiday season. So I will continue pushing forward with progress on this, and I will have definitely more to show in the next 2 weeks. I actually think this is going to be the project that I work on tonight, since I'm caught up on Extraordinary Birds. It's a Wednesday. The next pattern will come out on Friday. So probably tonight and tomorrow, I will be focusing really heavily on this. So I will have even more progress to show next time. Those were all my cross stitch projects that I worked on this week. I mentioned last time that I'm adding a new segment to my Flosstube that I'm calling Admiring, where I'm going to highlight someone else's project or a pattern that I'm just really impressed by and want to show to everyone. So the thing that I'm admiring this week is the Witchy Stitcher's new book. I pre-ordered it. It came yesterday. I was very happy that my pre-order actually came on the day it came out, because I would have been very jealous to see everyone else's on Instagram and not have mine. So it came. I love it. It's even bigger than I expected it to be. Like, I was excited for the patterns, but there's a ton of content in this other than just the patterns. I haven't really sat down and read through it yet, but there's a ton of info about like fabric and floss selection and finishing and beading, and I think there was something about like coffee and tea dyeing, and it looks really cool. and there's a ton of awesome patterns in it. I wanted to show you guys two of the ones that I'm the most excited about. I love that there are full page pictures of the finishes so that I don't have to like be stressing to try to cover up the actual pattern when I show it. I love this little pumpkin head girl. She is so cute and girly. There's a lot of pumpkin head cross stitch patterns out there and I tend to love all of them, but this one is so girly. Look at her little striped leggings and her dress and her hat. I love her. And so I'm definitely going to stitch her, and I will probably stitch her little boyfriend too, so that they can be together on my walls. I like his boots. Look at him. He's got a little heel going on. So yeah, these two are fabulous and I will definitely stitch them. The pumpkin heads always remind me of the Wizard of Oz. I know like Jack Pumpkinhead wasn't a main character in the main Wizard of Oz movie, but if you watch like Return to Oz or any of the other Oz content, the books, there's always a pumpkin head, and I am a big Oz fangirl. So those make me happy. And the other project in here that I'm excited about is this Happy Easter Ween. I've seen some spooky Christmas patterns, but I haven't seen a lot of spooky Easter patterns. And I've talked before about how I tend to gravitate towards buying Halloween and fall patterns, and I have a hard time picking out something that I can put up in my apartment for spring. So thank you, Witchy Stitcher, for this. That meets both needs. So now I have something that I will be able to put up for Easter, and I love it. So, and there's lots of other great patterns in this. I love the cover pattern. There's a Dracula's mansion in here that's really cool. So highly recommend this book. I'm loving it. That is all of the cross stitch content I have to show you guys today. So next I'm going to show some knitting and some books, but if you're just here for the cross stitch, you won't be missing anything if you move on now. And if you are enjoying my channel, please remember to subscribe and like, maybe leave me a comment. It lets the YouTube algorithm know to keep showing my video to people, so I appreciate that. Let's look at some knitting. Last time I showed you guys my Musselburgh hat that I was almost done with, and it didn't look anything like a hat at the time. You knit this like this. It's like this long tube with a hat at the top and a hat at the bottom. So then you finish it and you flip it inside of itself. And then I block it, so I wet it and I pin it out on foam board so that it kind of holds that hat shape a little easier. So now it's double fabric, so it's nice and warm in the winter, which often like sock weight hats tend to be thin and not so warm. So this one will be super warm, and it's reversible. So I have like the warmer side of the color spectrum that I did, and if I flip it inside out, I have the cooler side. And you can also, it's like long and slouchy enough that you can flip it and do a brim if it's like really cold outside, and then you have all that extra fabric, or you can wear it so that it's slouchy. So I love this pattern, and the other knitting project that I have to show you today is I started another one immediately. This one will be a Christmas present. The start of this pattern is the only part that's hard. You start with 8 stitches in a tiny circle on your double pointed needles. I think there are ways to do it on circulars, but I use double points. So you start with 8 and then you just increase around. Once I get this big enough, I will put it on a circular needle instead of the double points. I don't like the magic circle technique. If you're a knitter, you know about, you can use the magic circle to knit tiny things on circulars, but I tend to knit tiny things on double points, and then if it's a hat, I'll move it to my circular as soon as I have all of the increases in. So once I have the increases in, then it's just straight stockinette until the end. And this one I only brought my green yarn with me in front of my camera right now, but I'm going to knit the first half of this in the green, and then I'm gonna knit the second half of it in a variegated tan, so the colors will go really well together, and it'll be reversible, so you can have the green out or the tan out, or you can flip the brim so that you have a little contrast color to go with either color. So I look forward to being able to work on this for the next month or so. And then the other knitting project that I've been working on, I've shown this before, and it probably looks like I have had no progress since then. This is the Ishnake shawl, and it's by Lucy Haig. And I have been working on this for 3 months now, which for me is too long to be stuck on one shawl. This cabled band is incredibly complex and difficult, and it just requires 110% of my attention. It's a really long repeat, so you just have to like stare at the chart and then knit a few stitches and stare at the chart and knit a few stitches. So it's incredibly tedious. I've been trying to force myself to knit like 2 rows of this cabled band every day, and I'm not really succeeding in picking it up every day. I'm almost done. There's one more like motif. Once you're done with the cabled band, you bring back the contrast color for the end. I'm hoping that part won't be so bad. I mean, the first part with the stripes was really, really easy. I was flying through this, and then I just stalled on the cabled band. So I'm looking forward to having this done. I have other shawl patterns that I am excited to knit, so I need to get this done so I can work on those. That is my knitting. And then I have lots of books to talk about. So first of all, I got my book of the month box, and they give you a credit for a free extra book on your birthday month. So I usually get 2. I got 3 books this month. I already read this one. This one's called Seduction Theory. It was very short. This was a really weird book, and I loved it. It's probably not for everyone, but it's from the point of view of a creative writing grad student, and she's writing about her professors' lives, and she's describing scenes that she is not in, but she is writing it from a first person perspective. So just like the perspective is really odd, and then it's also like she's writing this to submit as her thesis in the story. So the book itself exists in the story. It's really like trippy and weird. I really enjoyed it. So that's Seduction Theory. This one I just started, Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. This is a dark and twisty Snow White retelling. I haven't gotten very far with it yet, but I love T. Kingfisher's writing. This is a new release, so I had to grab that when I saw T. Kingfisher's name. And this is The Knockout Queen by Rufi Thorpe. I haven't started this yet. I grabbed it because I read another book recently by this author that I loved, which actually I have it behind me. Margot's Got Money Trouble. I grabbed this just from another book of the month recommendation, and I love this book so much. It's about a girl who, she's having money troubles, and she decides to start an OnlyFans. So her dad is a professional wrestler, you know, one of the like super theatrical performance professional wrestlers, and he is giving her advice about how to like market a character. And so that's weird that she's getting OnlyFans advice from her dad, but it's not about like, you know, the sexual stuff. But they're making a movie out of this, and I heard that Nick Offerman is gonna play the dad. So that should be super entertaining. I hope that's true and not a rumor that I'm now spreading on the internet. I think it was true. So I'm really excited for that movie. I really loved this book, and so I grabbed this just because it's the same author. I don't know anything about what it's about. I haven't started it yet, so I'll have to report back next time. I really enjoyed this one, and I'm excited to read this one. And then other books that I don't have physical copies with me, my book club does, you know what, if you have kids in the room, you might want to skip this next step, because my book club reads some adult books in the summer. Every summer we do Smut Summer, and so it's a chance to just have a break. There's so much going on in the world, so we read like smutty romance novels in the summer, and we don't have to use our brains for a few months, and that's a nice break. So 2 weeks ago, we read Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, and that was really fun and very, very spicy. I definitely wouldn't just go around recommending that to people, which I think I accidentally recommended Lights Out to someone at StitchCon. People around me were talking about smutty books, and we were talking about like, oh, I heard Lights Out was good. Have you read that yet? And then someone near me was like, oh, I'm gonna add that to my list. And now that I've read it, I am horrified that I accidentally recommended that to someone. That it's very dark and very spicy and very weird. So only read Lights Out if you like that. And then now my book club is reading a book called Sky Daddy, which turns out isn't actually smut. Some of the girls have started reading it, and it is about a woman who is sexually attracted to airplanes. And so we thought that it might be like really silly smut, and it's not. And so my friends are reporting that it is heartwarming. I have only just barely started it. I don't see how we're getting to a heartwarming place with this story. It seems generally kind of upsetting, but I think it's going to be a quick read. It's like a 9-hour audiobook. I expect to finish that probably tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to see where we're going with Sky Daddy. And then I also finished the 3rd book in the Expanse series, Abaddon's Gate, and I'm loving the Expanse series. This one, it was great. I didn't like it. I think the 2nd book in the series might end up being my very favorite, just because it has a lot of time with some of my favorite characters that weren't in this book as much. But it's such a great series. I'm excited to read book 4 next. I think that was all of the books that I have to talk about. So if you hung in with me this long, thank you. And I have a stitchy weekend planned this weekend. I'm not going anywhere for the first time in several weeks. Last weekend my parents were here, and the weekend before that we drove down to Virginia Beach to see Kesha. And this weekend I'm not going anywhere, and my partner is going to see friends. So I am going to cross stitch all weekend. I'm really excited, and so I think in 2 weeks I will have hopefully lots of progress to show. So I will see you then. Thanks. Bye.